Some local schools return to in-class sessions. Dan Kearns, Local Journalism Initiative reporter for The Standard. Kawartha Lakes, Durham. Some local schools returned to in-class learning on Monday, January 25th, while others remained with only virtual learning. On the advice from Chief Medical Officer of Health, the government is allowing 7 public health units and over 100,000 students to return to class on Monday, January 25th, read a statement from Ontario Minister of Education Stephen Lecce. According to Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health and leading medical and scientific experts, including the Hospital for Sick Children, Ontario's schools are safe places for learning. The 7 health units allowed to resume in-person learning included Haliburton-Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit, HKPR, Peterborough Public Health, Grey Bruce Health Unit, Kingston, Frontenac and Lennox and Addington Health Unit, Hastings and Prince Edward Counties Health Unit, Leeds, Grenville and Lanark District Health Unit, and Renfrew County and District Health Unit. Some additional school boards span across multiple provincial health units and may have some schools that resume in-person learning on January 25th and other schools that will continue to teach remotely, an Ontario government press release explained. The TLDSB explained in a press release what schools were able to reopen this week. Trillium Lakelands District School Board, TLDSB, elementary and secondary schools within the city of Kawartha Lakes in Haliburton County will return to in-person learning, and elementary and secondary schools within the district of Muskoka will continue remote learning. HKPR Acting Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Ian Gemmell, said he is optimistic about the safety of students when they return to class. I would never say I am not concerned. Am I worried there are going to be a lot of outbreaks at schools? The answer is, from the experience we've had so far, it appears schools are not contributing hugely to the spread of COVID-19. We are not seeing outbreaks in the school setting. Meanwhile, schools represented by the Durham District School Board, DDSB, remain in virtual learning. Further to our update last week on the provincial state of emergency and stay-at-home order, the Ministry of Education has issued a media release that students in our school board will not be returning to in-person learning on Monday, January 25th. This means students will continue to learn remotely until further notice. The ministry has previously communicated the next date students would be returning to in-person learning is Wednesday, February 10, 2021, read a DDSB statement. The DDSB also provided some information about new COVID-19 related rules when kids are allowed to return to their schools. When students do return to in-person learning, it will be mandatory for all students in grades 1 to 3 to wear a mask, subject to reasonable exceptions. This masking requirement is in addition to the existing requirement for students in grades 4 to 12. We are strongly encouraging students in kindergarten to wear a mask. Library CEO updates Brock Council on COVID-19 impact. Dan Kearns, Local Journalism Initiative reporter for The Standard. Brock. Like many other municipal services, Brock Township libraries have been impacted by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. At a special Committee of the Whole budget meeting on Friday, January 22nd, Brian Harding, CEO of Brock Township Libraries, provided councillors an update on how the libraries have fared during the pandemic and presented the 2021 library budget. The operational impacts from COVID-19 have been slightly different in our case compared to the township itself, Mr. Harding said. Presently, Mr. Harding said, libraries are being seen by the provincial government as an essential service. In 2020, Brock Libraries saw a 32% increase in e-book and digital audiobook borrowing by patrons. We thought we had a great year for digital services in 2019. We saw an 8% growth in 2019. In 2020, we saw 32% growth. So that's significant, Mr. Harding explained. It doesn't offset some of the losses we've seen in print borrowing, but it is significant. The pandemic was enough to nudge people in the digital direction. COVID-19 has forced services such as libraries to rapidly create and implement new safety measures. We have been quarantining all the materials being returned to us since the week after the pandemic started. That requires us to put materials into isolation because surface transmission, although highly unlikely, We know now that COVID-19 is still a possibility, Mr. Harding said. Also, just other procedures like our contactless circulation procedure, it's very rigorous, and it's been reviewed by the health department. Their response to the pandemic has been met with praise from community members. I've received very positive feedback from staff. There's a high satisfaction among our staff on how the pandemic has been handled. Everyone continues to feel good about their personal safety and coming to work and ensuring the safety of our patrons, Mr. Harding stated. We've had very, very positive patron feedback. People have told us profusely how much they missed us when we were gone, and they continue to be thankful we've been able to maintain our service now through this second wave. However, not all regular patrons returned to the library in 2020. Some more regular patrons have not come back to us. We're calling them our lost patrons, Mr. Harding said, adding they are working very hard to get those lost patrons back. But the libraries were able to end 2020 with a surplus of about $90,000, 70% of which will go towards offsetting the 2021 tax levy. Mr. Harding called it a significant surplus, with the previous year's surplus having been over $22,000. Regarding when libraries may return to some version of normalized service, Mr. Harding said he is looking possibly at September, depending on how the current pandemic situation plays out in Ontario. I'm very optimistic. Whenever the word comes down, as soon as the restrictions start to get lifted, we'll be able to respond very quickly and we'll be able to get to that regular state of operations as quickly as we possibly can. Ontario supporting local horse businesses impacted by COVID-19. Christine Bajold, Office of MPP Laurie Scott. The new Equine Hardship Program, launched today, will provide individual businesses offering horse-related experiences up to $2,500 per horse to a maximum of $20,000 in financial support to help cover direct costs for feed, water, veterinary care, and farrier services needed to maintain horses. During the pandemic, many horse experience businesses, such as riding schools, train ride operations, and horse camps, have been unable to operate, which has put these businesses and their horses in jeopardy. Supporting local equine businesses and HKLB and across the province to help keep up with the costs of animal care is important, so they can be ready when it is safe to resume normal operations, said Laurie Scott, MPP for Haliburton-Kawartha Lakes-Brock. COVID-19 has disrupted many of the activities offered by horse experience operators, making it challenging for some to care for their animals this winter, said Ernie Hardman, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. Our investment of $3 million will allow these businesses to keep up with the costs of animal care, so they can maintain their horses and be ready for when activities can start up again. Ontario Equestrian would like to thank Minister Hardman and the Ontario government for their dedication and support of the equine sector over the past months, said Tracy McKelria, Executive Director of Ontario Equestrian. This funding announcement will certainly provide much-needed relief to our business owners and equine farmers, who have fought to maintain their herds since the beginning of the pandemic, and we look forward to ongoing collaboration with the government to ensure sustainability and growth for the sector. Horse experience businesses will be eligible for funding if they earned at least 50% of their revenue in 2019 from horse experience activities. Their 2020 revenue was less than half of what was earned in 2019 due to the pandemic, and they attest they are facing hardship as a result of COVID-19, which will make it difficult to care for the horses. The Equine Hardship Program was specifically designed for horse experience businesses which are not eligible for other agriculture-related programs that help farmers manage risk, such as the Risk Management Program and Agri-Stability. To learn more and apply for the Equine Hardship Program, visit http://www.omafra.gov.on.ca/english/about/equinehardship.htm. There are approximately 150 horse experience businesses in Ontario, including more than 50 horse camp or trail ride operations, at least 15 carriage operators, at least 14 therapeutic riding centers, and many riding schools. These businesses also include horse-drawn carriage or sleigh rides. Under the Equine Hardship Program, costs incurred between March 17, 2020 and February 28, 2021 will be eligible. Enrollment and claim forms will be accepted until March 12, 2021, or while program funding remains available, whichever comes first.
Brock Township Mayor passes away after cancer battle. Dan Kearns, Local Journalism Initiative reporter for The Standard, Brock. Brock Township is mourning the recent death of Mayor Debbie Bath Haddon. On Sunday, January 24th, the township announced Mayor Bath Haddon had died, following a long and courageous battle with cancer. The mayor had been on leave of absence from the township since late November in order to deal with health issues. Regional Councillor Ted Smith has been filling in her spot on council as the deputy mayor. Mayor Bath Haddon was the township's first female mayor and also previously served as Ward 4 councillor and regional councillor. It was my distinct pleasure to serve under Mayor Bath Haddon while she was both mayor and regional councillor for the township, Clerk Becky Jamieson said in a statement. She was proud of the township, its staff, residents and businesses, and worked tirelessly around the clock for the betterment of the community. She will be greatly missed by all. In a press release, the Township of Brock summed up some of Debbie Bath Haddon's achievements during her time on council. During her years on council, Mrs. Bath Haddon was successful in bringing Brock its first Zamboni, its summer day camp program, and annual charity golf tournament. One of her biggest achievements was securing funding from the federal government for a community employment center in Brock. Tributes have been flowing in for Mrs. Bath Haddon from those who served with her on regional council and on committees. Debbie and I sat next to each other at regional council, and I have loved getting to know her over the last 2 years. It was obvious to all that she loved life, her family, friends, and especially Brock Township. Debbie will be deeply missed. On behalf of the Township of Uxbridge, I offer sincere condolences to Mayor Bath Haddon's family, friends, and the Brock Township community on her passing. Our flags at the Township office are flying at half-mast in her memory, read an emailed statement from Uxbridge Mayor Dave Barton. On Twitter, Pickering Uxbridge MP Jennifer O'Connell wrote she was sad to learn the news of the mayor's passing. Debbie and I served on Durham Regional Council together, and I saw firsthand what a strong advocate she was for the Township of Brock. This is a big loss for our region. My condolences to her family, friends, and colleagues, she posted. Scugog Mayor Bobby Drew also provided her condolences in an emailed statement. Debbie was a colleague for many years. I had the privilege of knowing and working with Mayor Bath Haddon as a fellow board member of the Lake Scugog Conservation Authority, as regional councillors and then as mayors in Durham Region, Mayor Drew's statement read. Debbie had a unique and refreshing leadership style and sense of humor. It was wonderful to know the residents of the Township of Brock supported her in the way they did, electing their first female mayor. She was passionate about the community she served and a true champion for the Township of Brock and North Durham. In a press release, Durham Regional Chair John Henry called Mayor Bath Haddon a strong and positive force in municipal politics and a passionate leader. At an evening council meeting on Monday, January 25th, members of Brock Council were given the opportunity to speak about Mayor Bath Haddon's impact and legacy. Ward 2 Councillor Claire Doble called Mayor Bath Haddon a strong leader and mentor. Ward 4 Councillor Kriya Pettingill shared she was amazingly generous and a very creative thinker. Deputy Mayor Ted Smith said Mayor Bath Haddon certainly always had Brock's interests at the top of her list.
Ross Memorial Hospital receives Green Healthcare Award. Amanda Carvalho, Communications and Public Affairs Officer, Ross Memorial Hospital. Kawartha Lakes. In recognition of its commitment to environmental stewardship and greening its healthcare practices, Ross Memorial Hospital, RMH, received this year's Green Healthcare Award for the waste category from the Canadian Coalition for Green Healthcare. The award was presented based on data submitted to the 2019 Green Hospital Scorecard GHS program, which rendered RMH the highest waste score of all participating hospitals within their peer group. RMH measures waste diversion rates on a monthly basis and works toward yearly waste reduction and diversion goals. The hospital's waste management processes include using reusable sharps containers, diverting organics from waste receptacles in the cafeteria and kitchen, and an on-site vermiculture program. The RMH Green Team raises awareness for recycling, waste diversion, and Earth Day initiatives, recycling electronic waste through a registered company, and shredding and recycling all confidential waste. Since the pandemic began, RMH has also prioritized washable and reusable personal protective equipment where possible, including washable gowns, caps, and reprocessing goggles and face shields. We're so proud of our team, who prioritizes waste diversion whenever possible through initiative and collaborative projects throughout our hospital, said Veronica Nelson, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, RMH. It's an honor to be recognized as one of Canada's leading healthcare organizations when it comes to green practices. The Green Hospital Scorecard is a comprehensive healthcare benchmark tool which measures energy and water conservation, waste management and recycling, corporate commitment, and pollution prevention. Participating hospitals report on their environmental and sustainability initiatives through an online questionnaire, and the resulting scorecard summarizes their environmental performance relative to their peers. The award was presented by the Coalition's Executive Director, Neil Ritchie, at the Coalition's virtual award ceremony in December of 2020.
The Standard Podcast was produced by Greenstream Studio for the Standard newspaper.